What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Solutions podcast, and we're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Leave a comment down below. You see this wonderful head right here, and then nice head of hair. Leave comments, leave likes, subscribe. Then I have our website, strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Free blogs, free guides, and programs for purchase. Our email is strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right, guys. Just stop.
Just stop.
Stop following people on social media and influencers.
Look at the influencers.
You know why? You know nothing about them.
Yeah, it's probably also all fabricated.
Yeah. So like the first thing is we worship these people who have these amazing bodies on social media, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know about the work they put in. We also don't know what is their relationship with food and their self. And I would argue we get into this business, and I think we're at a better place now than when we first came into the fitness space.
Yeah.
But we come into it with a insecurity a lot of times. And a lot of these fitness influencers are still projecting their insecurities on you, the individual. And you think, I have to eat this way and I have to do it this way because this is the only way to do it. And just following this influencer, they can have this relationship where they're weighing every single thing.
Yeah.
And I know people that are like that. And they can't like go one weekend without weighing something. And it just kills them.
Yeah.
When they step away from it because I only have this goal or whatever. And it's always an aesthetic appearance.
It is always an aesthetic appearance, right? Especially with like influencers and stuff like that, because that's what sells, right? And it's funny because I've been seeing a lot more kind of not ridicule, but almost like parodies of like influencer people, like whether they're financial guys or, you know, fitness people or whatever. And it's always like, you know, they do like their whole daily routine, right? And
the ball busting one, right?
Pretty much, yeah, something like that. And it's like, you know, everybody gets up at 3 a.m. You know, everybody makes $5 million in the first hour of their day. You know, they all do 50-minute skincare routine. And, you know, and it's like,
dude, doing all the stuff that they say would take a whole day.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because I've seen people who are like, all right, I'm going to do this guy's like routine, you know, I'm going to do everything he said in the time frame that he said it. And it's always like, you know, I haven't done the first 2 fucking things this guy said, and it's been 5 hours, you know, and it's like, you see stuff and it like romanticizes a perfect life, right? And I know all of us want some semblance of that or a goal, right? Or this person is super successful, so if I just do what they do, right, I'll be successful too. And it's funny, one of my clients the other day said that, how did he put it? He said that they're like a product of circumstance. And I was like, that's an interesting thing to say, because most of the time you say like, oh, it's all genetics, right? Or it's all, you know, they're
some genetics are really good.
Yeah, some genetics are really good.
I learned about Phil Heath today, actually.
Oh, really?
He was a basketball player.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he said he gained in 3 months 30 pounds of muscle after playing basketball.
Holy shit.
That's genetics.
That's genetics, right? And it'll just never happen. And he was like, it's you know, these people are people of circumstance. They come from a situation where they're able to do this stuff, right?
Correct.
Where they have either the money or the funds or the no responsibility or something, right? And he said it in a funny perspective because he was like, if you look at like all the football players in the NFL, right? He was like, that's it. Those are the guys that are in the NFL. That's all of them. You know,
it's not that many.
It's not that many, right?
Like when you go from high school to college, it's like 1%, and then it's 1% of the college players
of those people, right? And same thing with basketball, same thing with boxing or MMA or whatever. Like, I think we see all these people, and I think it's fine to strive and like want to be like that, right? Or some semblance of that, like I said, or you know, work your way around being that way. But I think striving for this perfection, right? Like, I got, you know, the guys in the NFL can do it, so why can't I do it? And I'm like, well, because they're in the fucking NFL.
They're a genetic
right?
freak. All they do is work out.
Yeah.
I mean, I was listening to an NFL player because I watch like talk shows and stuff like that. And he literally was like, you know, they're getting upset at Micah Parsons because he tweets all the time or whatever.
Okay.
And he's like, well, what are we to do as athletes if you rather us go to a club and go drink and all that stuff? He's like, you're getting mad at a guy for tweeting. And he was like, we're there at 6 a.m. We don't leave the facility till 6 p.m. People think they just go in for like a 3-hour practice and that's it. They're watching film, they're talking, they're communicating. It's a legit job all day, every day. And he's like, what do you want them to do? It's like from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You work on your body, you work on your mind for the game. Imagine that. Like, that's all you spend your time on. And that's the circumstance they're in, right?
Right. And they can do that, right? And it's like, unless you've got fucking 12 hours a day to do all this shit for just you.
And a chef and a recovery center.
Yeah, yeah. And like every single circumstance, right? Every single ability or thing at your disposal. It's just that I think following influencers is it just is not going to really lead anywhere super productive, you know. Not to say that all their ideas are bad or, you know, trying to prioritize yourself is a dumb idea or something like that, but it's just like, do you know?
Yeah. And another thing too is a lot of times you subconsciously will compare yourself to this influencer.
Oh,
we do this all the time. We subconsciously, if I see people at the gym, even though I'm not like I need to be stronger than all these guys.
Like that guy.
You're going to be like doing it subconsciously. And it's been shown that humans just naturally do this. Our minds are not ready to take it globally. We used to do this in just tribes, like within the community. Well, if this guy in my classroom got an A, right, I want to be the one that has the highest A.
Yeah. So
right? We just subconsciously, right?
Yeah. And I think it's probably easier in that sense too, where it's like, hey, my competition is one person as opposed to, you know, a million people online or everybody you see in the gym and stuff like that. Like, I went to the gym today this morning. Was there guys lifting heavier than me? Yeah. Was there dudes who were way bigger than me? Yes. And it's like, I think, like you said, some of us do it subconsciously. I think some of us just do it outright too. You
Correct.
know, they're like, nope, you know, my favorite person does this, so I do their workout, you know?
Oh, dude, I've seen so many times. I could tell when someone's following Jeff Nippard.
Oh, yeah.
I really can. I'm like, okay, they follow Jeff Nippard.
They're doing the exact things that he says all the time.
Because according to science, you have to get to this for your lats.
Gets punched. But yeah, no, you're right. It's like I can see. Like,
by the way, guys, I'm not saying this content's bad.
No. Yeah, in fact, I mean, I think some of the stuff is really good. But it's just funny because you can see that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, maybe that does work for a lot of people. Maybe it works for you too, right? But maybe there's another way that you could be doing it to like optimize you, right?
Because we all have different difficulties, right?
Yeah. As opposed to just like absorbing everything Jeff Nippard says and then saying like, only shit he says is right? Or anything anybody else says is wrong because, you know, he reviewed it and said, you know, no. And
and it's crazy because his whole job is to work out, to shoot videos. Like ours is not like that. We're actually trainers and we actually have to be there all the time. His main source of income is literally just doing audio and video
content. Yeah.
And it's not fair to a lot of trainers too, right?
It's not fair to a lot of clients.
Yeah.
Right. Because then you're like comparing, right? Like, oh, my program isn't that good, you know, or I should be trying harder, or you're putting yourself down all the time because you're like, well, you could do it. I just need to work harder, right? Like it's always that. And it's like,
and then there's trainers who want to prioritize their family and kids versus other trainers who are just like, I'm going to do my body and they don't have kids and they have more time. There's so many different things. I'm a mom or I'm a dad with 3 kids and I don't have time as much and I work here. So you're right about the whole circumstance thing.
Yeah. You're just a product of circumstance, right? And I think that we can take that and not even be negative about it, but look at your circumstance, right? Like, what are my circumstances and how do I become the best product of that, right? Like, okay, like you said, hey, I'm a single dad. I got 3 kids. I work, 8 to 5. What the fuck can I do here? And you got
30-minute, 15-minute workout.
Yeah. And you just got to do what you can do, right? Like maybe you work out 30 minutes on your lunch period, whether you fucking walk around the building or something. You know what I mean? Like you just have to work with what you have and not constantly compare yourself to these people who have different circumstances.
And a lot of times it's not even real, right? It's a moment in time. So like they'll take pictures and they'll look really ripped up. I could see my top 2 abs if I get dehydrated, like really well. I mean, a lot of the, or like after a workout, right?
Yeah.
Like, you see all the people, they take pictures after their workout when they're fully pumped. That's not what they really look like in a day-to-day life.
Yeah. And then I think that you sit there and be like, wow, this guy's jacked all the time.
They look so ripped. Now, don't get me wrong, there's guys who are jacked all the time.
Sure.
But also assistants.
Assistants, yeah. Assistants. Assistants.
Yeah. So my suggestion to a lot of people is to reset your algorithm.
Oh, you can do that now.
You can redo that.
Yeah.
And pick people who add value to you, that their focus is not looks. Their focus is not how strong they are. Their focus is to educate you to be a better version of yourself.
That's what I would say. I really agree with that, because I think that what you end up needing to look at is not so much like physical and aesthetic content, but more of like educational almost, right? Like kind of resetting it to that. And then taking the information that you get, because you're probably going to follow a bunch of different people that say a bunch of different things, right? And, you know, we do, right? And it's like I take what's applicable to me, and the rest of it, I either maybe just like remember it for another time or just don't even listen to it at all, right? But it's like you just have to do what you can do, and make sure it's like positive.
Yeah. So you talked about having no arm day.
Oh, yeah. You can never have an arm day.
Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike. Here's another influencer, right? Yeah. So Dr. Mike was on I think it was a podcast, or I think he was just like doing content in a gym or something like that. I think
it was him and Jeff Nippard.
Yeah. And they were talking about how, you know, some people do like splits, right? And they'll do a whole day that's just like biceps or just triceps or arms in general, right? And it's funny because I've heard this too. You know, like a lot of people are like, yeah, I do it today. Friday's arm day. And I'm always like, well, that's so weird to do like a straight arm day. And Dr. Mike was kind of saying that he was like, look, you can get so much out of the other days, right? Like a push and a pull day or something like that, and add in, you know, the tricep extension or the curl or whatever to those days. And you should get substantial volume from doing your other compound lifts, right? Like your overhead presses, your, you know, pulls and your lat pull down and the curl or the row and things like that. And those all target your biceps as well. Right now, it's not super isolated, but now this is just my opinion. I don't know if he really said this in the video, but I think that you just can't get as much volume out of them if you're doing a whole entire day. They're just a smaller muscle, right? You know, they just fatigue faster.
He doesn't say that.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that you would be able to do much, you know, on an arm day with a lot of volume or weight or something that's going to actually elicit some sort of response, you know, because it's like, I don't know, after like a set of curls, you know, 3 sets, I feel okay, you know.
So what he did talk about though is to do bicep curls before you go into your row or lat pull down.
That's great.
And that way it could bias the bicep a little bit more. Instead of having a separate arm day. Now, my argument and my counter argument to this is an arm day can help you get more connected. And in the sense of you could slow things down. It's just on your arms and you can build this mind muscle connection where you may be just using your back. You're not using your arms as much on your row. Yeah. And it's hard for you to get connected. So there is no right answer, right? Yeah. It's just, what do you have time for? We talk about circumstances. Maybe if you don't have much time, like don't do an arm day. Cause it's honestly, I think, a waste of time to do an arm day. Yeah. Because it's not going to give you enough push in the sense of like a big building signal.
Like my arms have never been more dense and like large than they have now, and I haven't done a fucking curl in who knows how long. You know,
I do curls all the time.
Yeah, and it's like you know, it just depends, and maybe it's different too, right? Like maybe
I mean, you do a curl, you gotta do it like in a full body workout.
Dude, all I've been doing until now has been like squat, deadlift, bench, and overhead.
But in the past I have.
See,
this is where I don't like fitness influencers.
That's fair. Yeah.
So he may not do it anymore, but he was able to build that connection early on, because I'm pretty sure early on in his career, and I don't think fitness influencers talk about this enough, is, well, early on in my career, I did this. Now I do this because I'm able to connect better with it. Right?
Like, to your point, I don't think there's any way that we can sit here and say Dr. Mike has never done an arm day. I'm pretty sure he has, you know, either in the beginning when he was still learning or something. And I think that we don't think about, you're right, like how that
everything compounds,
it carries over, right? Yeah. And it's like, I've done all my curls, I've done all my tricep extensions, to where now today, like I did more of my foundational lift day and my triceps are fucking wrecked. Did I do any tricep extensions today? No, but I did incline bench and overhead press. Right. And so it's like, I'm still getting it working. So like you said, I think it just depends on how much time you have really.
So I think when we talk about science and stuff like that, I think we got to go more into like how it compounds over time, right? Mm-hmm. What have you done before? And now this is a novel stimulus versus there's one way to work out. I found out that this way is the best way to work out, because you'll see a lot of fitness people, they'll go into Mason Indian clubs, right? Like I'm about to go a little bit more into it, and I'll be like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. You should be doing a Mace. You should be doing an Indian club, or, hey, you should be doing animal flow. It's like all these things help and work with each other.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there trying to pick this big biasy, and it doesn't work like that. Like the fact that he said no arm day, I'm like, you probably did in your past, and it probably affected the way you lift today without even you realizing it. And I think we disconnect that you've been doing this for 20 years and maybe you spent 5 years doing arm day, and that really helped you connect to your bicep and grow your bicep initially.
Yeah.
And then now you're doing better because I know you used to curl.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's just, we don't think that 5 years ago affects today, and it does.
You're right.
I know. Right. And if I was Jesus and I was trying to feed people today, nobody would eat.
Why?
Dude, that was a cool little meme, right? About how, if Jesus was to come out and give people food and fish and stuff like that, he would have people like, I'm vegan and I'm this and I'm that. And it made me think about the history of food.
Yeah.
Like people don't realize these diets are all new. They're all recent. We're meant to eat everything. We're meant to eat bugs and maggots and things like that because we didn't have access to food.
Yeah. I know a while back I was talking about that show that I was watching where, the guy goes around and tries food from different cultures and stuff like that. And one of the things that I noticed is just like so much of the food is like fermented, or it's just like food that was locally there, right? That was all they had. They didn't have ways of storing stuff, like just eating off the land. And, it's funny because as we've gotten further away from that, we see more and more issues, more and more sensitivities, allergies, being unable to digest certain things, feeling super bloated after eating food. And, it's probably part of the quality of the food. It's probably part of the fact that we don't eat like that anymore. So we don't really have those
we used
abilities
to eat
anymore.
Everything. So we would get different types of bacteria going through our gut.
Yeah. And like that stuff is important, and now, some of the food is like so sterile and processed that, people can't eat anything else. I remember when I was younger, I was like, anytime I ate vegetables, I'd be like, oh God, my tummy hurts. Cause it's like, my body's like, what the fuck?
There's fiber in this?
Yeah. It was like, all I ate was like Sunny D and,
Sunny D.
and like just processed shit and stuff. And so it's like, it's funny looking at it now, how, I don't want to say weak, right? Like the people are now, but it's like, there's just so many more issues that, Maybe they did exist back then. Maybe we just didn't know, right? But it does seem a lot more prevalent today that people have problems eating.
I also think you got to take your component into, and this is where I think people we have more problems today. Genetically, genes that are weaker are lasting longer and actually getting spread.
Yeah.
Where before you were forced to die, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why people don't realize the issues that we have today may be different than what they had in the past.
That's true.
We're surviving longer. We have medicine that keeps us alive and all these other things. So weaker genes get passed on.
Yeah. And it's funny because I tell people a lot of the times where, we weren't really meant to live as long as we do now, and then we see all these issues that happen later in life, like dementia or stuff like that.
That's a new problem.
That's a new problem. We used to die when we were like 30.
40 years old.
If you were 50 years old, you're old as fuck, and it's like now you're like, oh, you're 50, you got 35 more years, before something happens.
People used to have 10 kids because they needed 5 to survive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're having a whole litter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just a different time now, and it just arises different issues.
So, what's your mile time right now?
Bro, you know what? I don't know. And I'm really excited to find out. It's going to be bad.
I can run it in about 8:30 minutes.
So the fastest I've ever been was like, I could run like maybe a little under 10. I've never been very fast at running. So
slow me down.
I'm going to have to pick that up.
Fastest I got was about like 5.5.
God damn, dude.
But that was when I was running all the time.
That is fast as fuck.
Yeah, never going back. Never.
Yeah.
No. But kids today, compared to us in our generation, are 90 seconds longer to run a mile on average.
That's kind of wild, man. 90 seconds is quite a bit of a difference.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, they were talking about generations in the past and how as time has gone on, like the mile run time average for children. I don't really know the age range that they were looking at.
It was like, from what I remember, it was like 8 to like 13.
Okay. Yeah. Is 90 seconds slower. Right. So it takes them a little bit longer to run that mile. When I was younger, I was outside all the damn time. I was never inside, bro. I was skateboarding. I was playing basketball. I was playing tag, running around. I didn't want to be inside. I'm hard pressed to get even my daughter, who likes being outside, to go outside. You know? Yeah. And even then, it's almost like sometimes it's not even her who doesn't want to go outside. In fact, I bet she would enjoy it all the time. But like time wise,
kids just don't go outside.
Yeah, there's just like isn't the time anymore, you know, especially now.
I think, okay.
Well, in my case, I'll
right?
say this because it's like I gotta travel and there's travel time and stuff like that. Getting home and then there's homework and then you gotta go blah blah blah.
That's the problem.
Yes,
yeah. I don't remember having as much homework as my kids have.
I don't remember, like anything. And, you know, you could even factor things in like there wasn't as much traffic back then, or you know, whatever. It just like saps time away, and then by the time I'm home, I'm like, damn, I guess we just got to eat, do your homework, take a shower, and go to bed. You know, and it's like there's no time to run around outside and play or anything like that. Now we'll do it on the weekends and stuff, but it sucks because then you know I'm like, okay, well she gets 2 days of like running around outside. I've heard that some of the teachers, including hers, will even like not let them go to recess because they got to do more work in class or whatever.
That's the problem. They need to add more recess.
Yeah, there needs to be more physical activity, right? And not less.
And I don't think they realize, one, it gets the kids to calm down, and then two, it actually activates their brain better.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay,
mind-body connection, right?
Half a fucking sleep, or you know, they're so pent up, and you're like, why don't they shut up and sit down? And I'm like, well, because they gotta go fucking jump around and shit like they're kids, you know. But I think that as education becomes like heavier, right? Like they just take away more and more physical activity, and I don't think that you're right, like how they connect, you know.
All right, let's do one study here. Is physical activity linked to lower risk of dementia, sleep disorders, other diseases? People who do moderate to vigorous physical activity may be less likely to develop dementia, stroke, anxiety, depression, and sleep disorders, according to preliminary studies. So they did a study on it, right? And I think, again, I just want to keep on like putting this out there. We need to work on not more studies. We need to work on how do we get people to do this. We know physical fitness helps with this. I could tell you, I've been doing a little bit more endurance training lately.
Yep.
And I feel like strength training does a really good job of making me feel powerful and strong, but just feeling happy.
Yeah.
Endurance training and cardio does a better job.
I have also unfortunately noticed this. Like it was like after my first day on Monday and then today too, I was like, damn, I feel like awake and just like good and ready to go, you know. And it's like, it's not that I didn't feel good after working out like strength training wise, but it's like there's definitely something else going on, you know. It's mentally different, to where afterwards I'm just like, yeah, you know?
Let's go, buddy, let's go team.
Everything's good.
So that's why you have to do a mixture of things too, training wise.
True.
And I think we just got to get to the point where, of course, it's going to lower your ability to get a stroke. Of course, it's going to help you with anxiety and depression. I mean, they did this study in Australia where exercise was just as good as the SSRIs.
Whoa.
And if you think about, like, the study was short, I'm pretty sure a long-term exercise is way more effective.
Maybe. Yeah.
And then getting rid of energy and stuff like that for sleep disorders. I know when I work out, I get way better sleep than me sitting on the couch over there.
Yeah.
And just relaxing all day.
Because you don't that shit.
That's why I work out even on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know I want to go to sleep on Sunday night so I can get ready for Monday.
The Lord's workout.
The Lord's workout. I'm at the altar.
Yeah, I'm at the chapel.
Obesity starts in the brain. The brain plays a central role in development of obesity. A study has provided new insights on the role of the brain in its crucial control center and the origin of obesity and type 2 diabetes. The hormone insulin plays a key role In the development of obesity, the brain sensitivity to insulin is associated with long-term weight gain and unhealthy body fat distribution. What specific functions does insulin perform in the brain, and how does it affect individuals of normal weight? Right, and that was a study summary
they went through.
Now, I think I noticed this just working with clients. You have clients who can literally just drop how they're eating and doing really well, and they just change.
Yeah.
And the other client struggles dramatically. And then I notice some clients lose fat faster than others. I think when we're talking about fitness, and I think this is the problem with a lot of influencers, is it's very individualized and your processes may look very differently. Now, you can all lose weight, right? We can all do that, or get better insulin responses through weight training and cardio. But we all have psychologically different pools. That's why when they were talking about GLP-1s and you would get it from compound pharmacy, everybody could do a different dose, like a 5, a 10, or this person does really good at 25, but this person needs 50. And it just really depends on the individual. It's just like I've even seen creatine where there's people doing 20 versus 5.
Damn.
And they feel really great at 20 psychologically.
Yeah. Today, Camille and I were having a conversation about, because I'm trying to cut right now too, right? We were talking about that a little bit. And she was like, it's like for her, it's really easy. For her, she can just be like, I'll have one meal a day and I'm cool. For me, it's a fucking struggle. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm thinking about it. Oh, I wish I didn't have to eat this, whatever. And it's like, people are just different, right? Where it's like, yeah, you can get us both the same trainer, the same whatever, right? And she's probably going to lose weight a lot faster than I will, right? And then vice versa, right? I probably will put on muscle a lot faster, whatever it is. There's all these different factors for people.
But if you think about it, it's advantageous in the past to be like, I would say I'm in the same category, right? Because we would go searching for food, right? It'd be advantageous back then.
Yeah.
Now it's just not, it's not an advantage. It's a very disadvantage.
It might even be a disadvantage, right? Where it was like, I was driven to find it, right? So I could survive. Whereas now, there's just
it's a reason to explore, right?
Yeah, there's so much of it, right? It's kind of like,
like maybe she would have starved and died.
Yeah, see ya. Yeah, I'm gonna go eat a berry. I'm gonna
go get me a buffalo right now. Delicious. I didn't know they had wings.
This is a little spicy.
All right. Our fitness questions. What does it mean when people say the word they want to tone?
Oh, it means they want to go.
Get a little sharper. So, you know what it means, tone, right? Because you want to look tone.
Right. When people say, I want to be tone, what they really mean to say is, I want less body fat and more muscle mass. Right. Or I might even just say just less body fat. Right. Yeah. Like that's what they're looking for.
Say muscle. Don't lose muscle though.
Don't lose muscle. Right. Because when you say tone, right, I'm sure if you said that, you can imagine in your head what that looks like.
More
right?
muscle.
Like, yes. Yeah. And you probably have more muscle definition. Right. That's what it comes down to. So you either do that by building more muscle or losing body fat and and maintaining the muscle that you have. That's what people mean when they say that. But it's funny because I think that what they think getting to that means is like doing a bunch of cardio or doing a bunch of light weights, right? And like lifting in a lot and stuff. Because I've had so many people who said that, right? Like, I know you have too. It's like, I really want tone arms. And I'm like, okay, well, that means that we have to lift, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that they think it means the opposite, right? And it's just
a bunch of cardio.
And it's funny because I'm like, okay, like I said, sit there and imagine to me what that looks like. Okay, now tell me, is there muscle mass? Yes. Okay, then that means we need to build muscle, And it's like, I think it's just a funny sort of word that almost like doesn't.
I wonder where it came from.
I wonder where it did come from. Yeah, like who like coined that term or where did it start kind of coming around or something?
It had to be like in the 80s.
Yeah, it had to be some from video VHS guy or girl.
I want to look like Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe. Yeah, and it's like, It's almost a word that means like nothing to me now. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Anytime somebody says it, like, what do you want? You want more muscle?
Do you want
or
more muscle? You want to
little
lose body fat? Yeah. Because I'm like, I don't really know what that means. It means almost too many things, right? That it's just so like general and indirect.
What picture do you have in your head?
Yes. Okay. Now explain it to me. Okay. That means we need to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I know, man. I get it. Question number 2. What really happens when you lose fat?
There's a little fairy that comes. Eats it away.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole process. I'm not going to go through the science because I think the science is pointless for the audience that we want. But what happens is literally you have fat cells and they just shrink.
Yes.
And they go down, right? And you don't lose the fat cell. So this is why it's important not to go into like a cut and just like starve yourself.
Yes.
Because then your body programs it when you start gaining weight. What it'll do is it'll make this fat cell grow real fast and then it'll split and then add a fat cell. But you can never lose a fat cell. And I believe that's part of like my struggle because I would go through these big dramatic shifts.
Yeah.
When I was younger.
Dieting.
I bet you I would have a different outcome now if I didn't do that so young so many times.
How interesting. Yeah. It's the same. Well, muscle's not exactly the same way, right? But I think that we have to talk about that too, because a lot of people will say like, I want to burn fat. Like what heart rate do I need to be at?
You get a lighter and go,
yeah. Because I'm like, it's almost like they don't even connect, like your heart rate doesn't put you into a certain like zone. Right. I know that they say that stuff. I know.
So there's, I know because of kinesiology, like, okay, if you're at this zone, you supposedly use more fat when you're running versus more carbohydrates.
Right.
And then as you speed up, you end up using more carbohydrates.
And so,
but that's not a very good like interpretation.
Yeah. Cause let's even talk about that just like quickly. Like when you're at a higher heart rate, that means you're outputting more energy for a shorter period of time. Think things like sprinting, right? Or a quick burst of power, right? Like pushing the sled or something like that. In a case like that, you do use more carbohydrates, right? But you just can't do that for very long.
But use more carbohydrates, and you're not just say that you're not doing. Let's just say you do 10 seconds here, 10 seconds here, and let's say it's 80-20 fat, right? That you're doing, and so in each second you're burning 80 or 80%. Let's just say it's going to be 80% of the 10 calories that you just did for those 10 seconds, right? Where it's 90-10. On the next one, because you're running a little bit lower on your heart rate, and now you have 9-1.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm able to do this for amount of time, so it may be easier to go longer and burn more calories at a higher intensity. There's so many factors that go.
Yeah,
into
it's just it's not a good explanation, right? Like the heart rate zone thing is just not it doesn't mean that if my heart's beating at 100 beats per minute that I'm now currently burning fat.
And that's all you're burning. I'm burning fat while breathing.
Yes, and the thing is, when I was in school too, so I'm burning so much fat right now. Is that my teachers would always say like with the metabolic like energy pathways, right? Like all the different ones. And again, I won't go into any of them or anything like that. But as soon as you start,
you don't want to go to the Krebs cycle?
No. As soon as you do anything, right? As soon as they start exercising, they all turn on, right? They all turn on immediately and they all keep working. It's just that at some point, some of them like peter out faster than the others. And then, like the longest one kind of keeps you going throughout your extensive exercise or whatever. But what really happens when you lose fat is, like you said, the cells become smaller. You never really get rid.
They don't disappear.
They don't disappear because you need fat, right? Like
unless you do surgery.
Yeah, you don't want to get rid of fat, man. Like you need it.
It's essential.
It's essential, and it's a macro, right? It's something that your body needs to function properly. So you don't want fat to like go away, right? You just want a lower percentage of it because it can also also, right, like having an extreme amount of muscle is not good, right? Having an extreme amount of fat is not good. So you just have to find like that.
And if your goal is fat loss at the end of the day, workouts are not going to do anything for you. You have to control consumption.
Yeah, like, you know, a
At
lot
the
of
end of the
people,
day, it's consumption.
every time someone's like, I want to lose weight, I'm like, okay, well, it's going to be like 10% this, like 90% what you do on your own. So if you really want to lose weight, then you better start doing it because, like, yeah.
Better start consuming less calories.
Yeah, because this is going to help us build muscle, and this is going to help us, like, make that process maybe faster, I guess you could say. But it doesn't matter.
And preserve your muscles so that when you do lose weight,
right,
you don't really go into a slower metabolism.
Yeah, it's just that I think people start to try and use exercise as their main way.
I think we're still stuck in the 90s.
We are. Like, it's so weird. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe one day it'll change. Maybe one day we'll be toned.
All right. Question number 3. What is a goal that you like that people don't talk about much? So I'd argue most people talk about strength. Most people talk about weight loss, how they look, body percent fat. One goal that I like that nobody talks about is like the goal of, I want to be a better hiker. I want to be a better rower of the kayak. I want to be able to maybe rock climb a little bit or boulder.
Yeah.
Right. Something that is more real world applicable to people.
I do like when people have like, how do I say it? Almost like hobby essential goals. Like, I have a client who wants to get into archery, and I was like, that's badass. Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, it's like a cool idea. Like, how do we train for that? What do I need to do to get you there? Right. Like, what are the
weak shoulders?
Like, what are the skills of the sport? Right. And how do I transfer them over to
like
exercise?
You need the Indian club.
Yeah. You probably need strong shoulders, you need a strong back, a strong core. Right. Like, you need to be stable, all these things. And it's like, it's fun. Right. I think as a trainer and also as a client, like right now, you and I have a goal, right. Of like something very specific. And so it's like, oh, okay, I can train. How do I do this? You know, it's like, it's fun. It's different. And I think the thing is too, that if you focus on something like that, something that you like to do, all the other stuff that you want, like weight loss or building muscle or whatever is also going to happen. Right. Yeah. I think you almost get better at doing those things when you're not focusing on them all the time.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, I think because we're doing this goal, my body percent fat, my strength will go down, but my body percent fat will go down.
Yeah. I think that this is going to be a totally like, straight up, I've never really trained like this, right? Like for stuff like this. I think the last time I ran consistently, I was like in high school, like a junior. And so now I'm like getting back to all that stuff. And I
can tell you it's helping my gut inflammation.
I feel that's like the one thing, because I've been eating a lot, like way cleaner. And then like doing more, you know, like cardio stuff like that. And it's like, I really do feel like a lightness, so to speak. Like I just don't feel as inflamed, as like bloated and tired, you know?
Yeah. Question number 4, how fast can I lose 50 pounds? I weigh 300.
Oh,
you can lose it pretty fast.
Pretty fast,
I think 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months.
Yeah. If you do everything that you need to do correctly. So I've had clients who've been that heavy and they can lose it real fast. The difference is when they get to that 50-pound mark. I feel like right around 250 to 245, that's when it starts slowing down for a lot of people, whether you're a male or female, and it just like slows down. And it's like, you got to be patient. And then like I have one currently, I feel like he's not losing weight, but he's like transitioning. And so like, it's hard psychologically, but fortunately for me, he's a very positive person. He's like, good. My clothes are fitting way better.
Nice.
My energy's better, and all that stuff. And he's like connecting all these things. He's like, even though I'm the same weight, the last like 4 or 5 weeks, my clothes do fit differently.
That's awesome, right? Because like you said, they're in that transition mode. And it's so funny. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if this has been studied, given a name, something like that. But I just feel like there's this period of time.
It's called Edwinitis.
Especially with weight loss, where there's just like months where nothing happens. You could be doing everything right,
but your body comp changes.
Yes. And then like one day it's just like, there it goes. And it just like starts changing. And I don't really know what's happening during that time. I guess I could maybe like extrapolate or decide.
So this is my theory. I think your body goes through homeostasis parts. So if I lose like 10 pounds for someone, at that 10-pound mark, they're like, I can't lose weight. And I was like, okay, just keep on piling through, because your body's like fighting and wants to stay there for homeostasis. So sometimes it's better to do like that mini bulk right there and then go back down. And I think that's why mini bulks and mini cuts really help.
Yeah.
And I think your body's just trying to stay and survive at homeostasis. And I think that's a big part of it.
I think that does make a lot of sense as to why things like that happen. But it's just like a concept I've seen happen so many times as a trainer. Like, and you know, maybe someone's like, well, they're just probably not eating right for that week. And it's like, I don't know, maybe.
I've even seen someone who did their nutrition and like, they're like constantly, they didn't change very much. And not even a lot of, it's about like 50 calories. And all of a sudden just.
It's so weird. I've seen it happen so many times that it's almost beyond anecdotal. And like, there's definitely something happening during that time. We need to look that up next time.
All right, guys. You can find us on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Check us out on YouTube. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a comment down below. Our website is strengthsolutionspodcast.com. If you want to email us future fitness questions, it's strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram is Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Until next time, guys. What? Peace out. Broski.